All right, it's time for your daily dose of IPL on this edition of the SportsMax Zone. Royal challengers Bengaluru defeated five-time champions Chennai Super Kings by 50 runs in match 8 of the ongoing Indian Premier League early on Friday, earning their first win in Chennai in 17 years and keeping their place atop the standings on 4 points. Danny Morrison, Ravi Shastri and company will take you through a comprehensive recap.
Some lovely strokes and he just gives himself a bit of room and then caught by the skipper. Likewise, it's a smart catch low down. Oh yes, some good stuff from Kohli too, because he got a couple of good bumpers, but hitting the helmet, woke him up. And then this deep, you've got to catch these.
You have to. An absolute sitter. And it ended up being extremely costly for CSK. Another one. That was Rahul Tripathi and Virat. Never really got a start in this innings. Another half chance going down. And after that, there's no looking back as far as Patidar's innings was concerned. Ian Livingston fell to Noor Ahmed. And Jitesh came in, did a bit of a cameo, 12 of 6. Patidar leading from the front, 50 of 30. He got some momentum into that innings. But in the end, those 2 wickets in that 1 over. At time, RCB seemed that it might end up getting to around 175, 180. But then the last over, it was Tim David Shaw. 19 of that last over. 6, 6, 6.
You think about the run chase here, and you heard from both captains that it was a tricky wicket, a difficult wicket, so needed to get off to a good start and didn't. Party gone, good back of the length bowling, then Gaikwad, almost identical balls, different shots, but same result. A little bit of a comeback action. Rachin Ravindra was the standout player. He was in the first game as well for Chennai. Before this one here, there was a bit of controversy around it. Not often you see bowler and wicketkeeper not act in sync, but in the end, it was a simple decision for the third umpire. Just a simple catch there for Sammy Curran. Shivan Dubé tried to get going, hit a couple of nice balls, a couple of long shots. Rachin was the first to go in this back-to-back combination. Ashdayal striking in the same over. Ravichandran Ashwin came in, struck a few. He's 11 off 8 balls. He was trying hard to wrestle back any kind of momentum. And Salt featuring in a number of catches this evening. Jadeja, 25 off 19 balls. The excitement of MS Dhoni came in, striking away. Got a couple of boundaries away, Ravi Shastri.
Yes, he did. The crowd stayed for that. Jadeja played his part, but then it was a bit too much for the lower order. This is what gave the crowd something to cheer. A couple of sixes from Dhoni towards the back end of the innings. And in the end, it was RCB winning by a good margin. They win by 50.
All right, both captains addressed the nature of the wicket.
If I talk about this match, I think it was a good total on this surface because ball was stopping a bit. So yeah, it was not easy for the batsmen to hit those boundaries and sixes easily.
To be honest, I still feel I think 170 was a fast score on this wicket. It wasn't that great to bat, but probably bad day in the fielding cost us really badly.
All right, international cricket commentator Nikhil Uttamchandani, he joins us on set to look back at the action. So good to have you in studio again, Nikhil.
Thank you, Maria. Hello to Lance. Great to be here. Great to be in this seat as well. And look, guys, I wanted to show you what my mic says.
Ricardo.
Can we get the close up? Look at this mic. Mr. Chambers, watch out here. Look out, as the Jamaicans say. But it's great to be back.
Yeah. Let's talk about RCB. RCB winning at the Chepauk Stadium.
Yeah, first time in 16 years, man. I think it speaks to RCB having a more balanced team in 2025. We have to watch them closely, but I'm still waiting to see how they're going to shape up when they go to their home ground. They play 7 games at the Chinnaswamy, and I think, Lance Amaria, that will be the real test, because they've got, the spinners in this year with Pandya and Livingston, who are better than part-timers. They've got a few sort of hit the good length, test length areas in Bhubaneswar and Hazelwood, but at the Chinnaswamy, their home ground, everything is very different to what we saw today. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and one of the things that really stood out for me from this RCB squad was the fact that their captain led from the front, Rajat Patidar. Don't want to get his name mixed up at all. But, I think coming into this RCB setup, a team that, would have done well previously, had a history, then of course struggled. And one of the things people always talk about is, they have the likes of Virat Kohli and everything. Why is it, Nikhil, that, sometimes it's difficult for them to close games out? Rajat Patidar comes into the setup now as a skipper, and I think for him, he's going to have to lead from the front if this team is to go all the way.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to give him full credit. Last year, it was almost like a breakout season where he wasn't very known. Again, he's not played international cricket, and he's so good against the spin. You saw the way, yes, Noor created a chance against him, but the way he took down Noor Ahmed, which is something not many have been able to do in world cricket, but also the entire spin attack. Jadeja and Ashwin went at close to 12 runs and over. What I was looking to see, though, is, as we know how much data has come into cricket, when he came back in this season with new data on him, with teams preparing accordingly, how would he react? And 2 games he's shown us just that dominance against spin. I think we've seen it from Dubey on the other end and in the Chennai side of things, but having those players in your middle order who are very good against spin and can attack spin, we see the value, especially in a place like Chennai.
Yeah, and I feel like Chennai didn't do that because their middle order collapsed, and it's something that, we really have to talk about when we consider how they're going to go about this entire competition. Questions about, do they need somebody that is a bit reliable in that middle order?
Yeah, there's definitely concerns about the batting. When you think about Gaikwad, how good and brilliant he's been, I just get a feeling that they're quite reliant on him as captain. Today, you see, he didn't get runs, and immediately they looked like, who else is going to score the big runs for them? They've got Huda, they've got Karan, a few all-rounders. They've opted to go for Rachin Ravindra over Devon Conway. Maybe that's something they revisit later on. But who else can help take some of the burden off of Gaikwad? I think that's something they need to think about, especially when they go to the places like Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, where you need big runs if you bat first.
Yeah, for sure. And you speak about getting big runs, and I think they also didn't use the power play in the manner in which they should. And then you compare it to RCB that made good use of the power play. A quick comment on CSK and that power play failure, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think we have to fully credit RCB. The way they bowled in that power play, it shows you the value. Look, they've spent a lot of money on Hazelwood and, of course, Bhubaneswar Kumar. When there's something in it for the bowlers, the ball swung a bit today. There was extra bounce for Hazelwood. You could see how menacing the two of them can be. The reason I keep referring to Bangalore, though, is because we don't really expect much swing there. So how will a Bhubaneswar react and change? How will Hazelwood be seen there when they go to those pitches? But when you have a day like today, that two there who can hit that 6 to 8 meter length and that in-between length, I think they are extremely tough to of course, face, and then we've got scoreboard pressure on top of that. It makes it even more complex.
Yeah, you know that I'm a big Josh Hazelwood fan, Nikhil. We've spoken about him so many times. 3 for 25 today at 5.25 economy. How good was he today?
Exceptional, Lance. I think I always find it fascinating how that test length, that we always talk about that test length, is so effective across formats. And this guy, whether it's anywhere in the world, any format, he shows you that consistency. And you look at the dismissals we just saw. Just that ability to hit the deck really hard. Sometimes some skate through, sometimes he gets that extra bounce. It's so difficult to play and face with him at that height. And even Gaikwad, who's been in electric form, tried to take him on and was caught. So he's a great utility player to have. Obviously, he's missed the last few seasons with injuries, but the reason he was brought back is because he's got a good IPL record for RCB and also was good at their home ground. So let's see if it correlates in 2025.
Yeah, I continue to be amazed by MS Dhoni, Nikhil. He turns 44 years old in July, had a big knock today. How amazing is what he's doing?
I tell you, Lance, I've been very privileged to watch some very
I don't even know what's the word to describe it. I've got Imran Tahir in there. I've got LeBron James in there, who's close to 40 or 40, I think, as well. I mean, for the guy who doesn't play any other cricket around the world throughout the year, just comes into the IPL, where we see that always happens when players retire from international cricket, they tend to go on a downward slope. This guy just comes every year. It's very simple, and his glove work as well, electric. But I wonder, he's batting at 9 today. Can he come up the order a bit? I know the game was pretty much out of hand, but I still would like to see him maybe bat at 7.
You know, Mariah asked me yesterday to pick an IPL winner. I told her that it's a little early. There's too much cricket left to be played. I've always liked the Kolkata Knight Riders, but this is a pretty open season, isn't it?
Definitely. I think it's very early to judge, because CSK is the team that I actually picked before the season. But I'm looking at that batting now and I'm having concerns. We can't rule out Lucknow, who have found a way to make their bowling vulnerability work with the batting power that they have. Gujarat Titans look strong. Punjab Kings are different this year, and then they're the usuals, the Mumbai Indians. But this RCB team, I mean, wow, we always talk about them every single year. Maybe this is the year now, because they finally got this spin, which helps them win at other venues away from home. Maybe this is the year they can go all the way.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about Nicholas Pooran and the fabulous season that he has had so far in the IPL. But you just mentioned Lucknow Super Giants as a team that is deserving of consideration for the title.
Yeah, obviously a lot will be dependent on their faster bowlers. There are a few that are still injured. Mayank Yadav is one. They need to get their seamers back. That's the big thing. Avesh Khan has just returned. But what they've assembled in their batting lineup with Pooran, and I'm so happy they've finally sent him up the order. We're going to get to that.
Yes.
With him, David Miller, and obviously Rishabh Pant, who they've got back. I think it's given Pooran the freedom. They just know that they've got enough batting. And you look at yesterday, when Sunrisers bat first, they don't mind letting Sunrisers bat first, because they believe they can get any score. So if they can get their faster bowlers back with Mitch Marsh, we can't forget him as well.
Yeah.
We can't not look at them as a contender with that power that they possess and the way the pitches are played this year.
And you speak about the power, and Nicholas Pooran, 75, 70, just seems to be hitting all the right shots, finding the gaps, and of course, just the patience with which he approaches batting at this number 3 position. You know, it always worries me, and I know it's a question that the fans always have as well. You know, why can't we see the same thing happen when we suit up for Windies or, of course, our country? Because they do so well at the IPL.
Yeah, it's different. It's something that I've thought about watching Pooran for these last 2 games. Lance and I were discussing it just before this segment. It's a situation where, look, obviously in the IPL, the impact player rule has freed up a lot of batters. They know that there's enough batting, they can play, they can go hard. And even if they get out, it may not be as detrimental for their team. There's a lot of things. I think the pitches that Pooran plays on now obviously won't get... he won't get that in international cricket, so that's another factor. But yeah, I think the responsibility he has for the West Indies is the biggest thing. And for Pooran, who's playing like this, I would love to see him play like this at the international level. But I still think, Lance, and I want to get your opinion on this as well, it's about him finding that right tempo. And maybe he hasn't found that right tempo as yet for the West Indies. We saw him at the World Cup, for example, against South Africa, go quite hard early, got out. Against Afghanistan, tried to time it. He got big runs in the end. So that was probably the right way he could bat. And then in other games, he sort of sometimes goes slow. So I don't think he's really found the right tempo internationally. But he said it after the game yesterday. He's got an incredible talent. And we're continuing to see it now. I think there's no way he should not be dominating international cricket.
Yeah, I want to mention quickly, because a lot of his fans rate him as the best T20 batter in the world. But the ICC rankings have him at number 18, which it illustrates that he is definitely not producing at as proficient a level playing for the West Indies as he does for the franchises. And I know that you've got some thoughts about why that is so. You touched on a few of them just now. But I think part of it, though, it would be the fact that when he goes into these franchises, they play a lot more games and they play a lot more regularly. If he has a T20 series, it may be a 3-game series or a 5-game series, and that's it. But he's in a kind of a bubble, right, where he's constantly playing, and the freedom that you spoke about, I guess, begins to tell the story.
But I could counteract that by saying it's the start of the IPL and he's already on fire. It's not as if he came and he eased in. But I want to tell the viewers, though, because my producer wants them to know how he's been doing. So I just want to update them that, of course, he leads all the scorers this season with 145 runs after scoring a 26 ball 70 to help the Lucknow Super Giants to a 5-wicket win against Sunrisers Hyderabad, and that was on Thursday. Now, this was followed by a 30 ball 75 against the Delhi Capitals in their season opener. So he has smashed the 13 sixes in addition to 12 fours so far this season, and he scored his runs at a rapid rate of 258.92, the fastest in the competition so far. So yeah, Nikhil, as we were making that point, of course, Pooran getting the job done, but the West Indies part of us just can't come to terms with why we don't really get that same translation when they suit up.
With the next World Cup being in India and Sri Lanka, we're expecting pitches of this nature, right? I think the West Indies and Darren Sammy have to think about the best way they want to use Pooran, given what they're seeing here. Just because the World Cup is on these similar pitches, it's an ICC tournament. Even in Sri Lanka, we expect them to be good for batting, because we've seen when the West Indies went there, they have the capabilities to do that. It's a tough one, because I think if you told Pooran go and play like this and backed him, he could do it for the West Indies and maybe get better out of him. The problem is that you look at the rest of the batting order, he is so important against the spin in the middle overs, and I think sometimes that responsibility can weigh on a person and weigh on a player. So they have got to think and try to come up with the best way to get the best out of Pooran, building the rest of the order. But what he's showing in this IPL is his true potential, and he doesn't always bat like this. He goes to other competitions, he can play both roles, but I absolutely love him at 3 because of his manipulation of the field, the way that he has taken down bowlers in this tournament, and then once he gets a start, you're not stopping him outside the power play.
Yeah, and as we are on the topic of West Indians in the IPL, any other players that have started hot for you?
Well, I've watched Sunil Narine, of course. Andre Russell hasn't done much yet in the IPL. I'm hoping Romario Shepherd can get a game if conditions become a bit more seeming friendly, similar to a Shamar Joseph with that Lucknow team having injuries. But still quite early for the West Indians. Hetmeyer had a decent first outing. I can't believe he's batting at number 8 for that Rajasthan team.
Yeah, there's a talk that he should go up to 3 as well.
He needs to go up somehow. 8 is too low. I understand entry points and they want to keep him for the last 5, but this is your only international batter.
Pooran used to be like that before, remember?
Well, that's the thing, and they took a risk. But again, the data for Rajasthan supports that, yes, Hetmeyer is such a good finisher, but surely he's shown us enough. He's got 1 international 100. He's shown us enough. He's got enough quality to be able to bat before Hasaranga, before the inexperienced Shivam Dubey. I definitely think he needs to go up the order.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier, and we have some graphics to illustrate the points that you were making. Just going back quickly to Pooran and how he's been able to manipulate the bowling and score in areas that he's comfortable scoring in.
Yeah, so these are his 2 wagon wheels. So the first one, the 75 off 30, what stands out to me, right, is you look at the purple and the green. Those are his boundaries. And it's almost an identical wagon wheel if you isolate the boundaries, because he's hitting most of his sixes leg side to that cow corner region. But then also he can hit you behind square on the off and leg side, as you see those 2 green lines. And if you look at the next wagon wheel, you can even see that sometimes he hits you through the offside as well. I saw him play a ramp in this game, which you'll see one of those greens. But what I love about this is it shows how dangerous he can be if he has the ability to bat in the power play, when, remember, you're only allowed 2 fielders outside the circle, and then manipulate the field. Sometimes he gets balls of different lines and lengths, and he can hit into the areas he wants to hit into. It's just total control, and dominance is the word I use for it. And I think, personally, you said it before, for me, I know Heinrich Klaasen is there, I know Surya Kumar Yadav is there, people will say Virat. This man is the best T20 batter in the world. Klaasen, for me, is the best white ball batter, but Pooran is the best T20 batter.
Yeah, I want you to speak quickly, too, about the fact that his confidence level, when you hear him bat, and even his post-match comments yesterday, he said, it just ran off, that he's just a naturally gifted player. So part of his success has to do with his confidence, and he has a lot of that.
And I think that confidence comes from his work that he's put in. He always talks about the amount of work. In that same interview yesterday, he said he's put 9 years into his craft, and he just bats his ability now. He bats himself. And I've seen him. He goes home in Trinidad to the Kumar Rampat indoor facility when he's not playing, always hitting balls, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I think he loves batting, and he's found a way to evolve time after time. This was a big year for him. He's only batted 9 times in the power play before this season in 76 games. So it would not have been easy to come now with a new role, new team, and perform. And in 2 games, the first 2 games, I mean, the way he hit the first ball, you just knew that he backed himself. So I think why I say he's the best T20 player is because he can bat from 1 right down to 8. And I think I would back Nicholas Pooran to win me a game from any of those positions.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with you because his dominant innings that he has played have been almost flawless and unstoppable. You know, I remember back in the day when, you know, bowlers were afraid to bowl to IVA Richards and Brian Charles Lara. And when I see Pooran bat now, I kind of had that kind of sympathy for the bowlers because no matter what they do, he just smashes them away. And we just looked at the wagon wheel there, and, you know, it just got me thinking as well that 30, 40 years ago, people didn't analyze cricket in these ways. And these are some of the reasons why bowlers can now work out batters, because they can study the wagon wheel, they can study their favorite areas of scoring and so on. So in many ways, batting now from a tactical standpoint may be a little bit more difficult than it had been 40 years ago.
Well, definitely, it's multi.
When I say difficult, I mean the advantage for a bowling team to work you out is a lot more pronounced now than it had been many years ago.
Yeah, definitely, and data's come into cricket massively. But the thing is, bowlers will say, you know, they need more because the pitches are so flat now, 10 times more flat than they were 40 years ago. So maybe it's just a bit of help for the bowlers. But nice, I love it. It's fascinating to see the battles. You see matchups now, impact players coming in specifically for certain guys, bowlers opening for teams, for certain guys opening the batting. But just on Pooran to finish, I have no doubt that at some stage he will dominate international cricket. I just think as a West Indies team, there needs to be more clarity into the role that they need him to play. And for Pooran himself, he will want to get better at finding that ideal tempo when he comes to international cricket, because he's not going to be able to go bang like this from the start. Bowling will be better, situations will be different, pitches will be different, but he's no doubt got the talent and the ability to play in any which way and adjust and be versatile and win games for the West Indies.
Yeah, well, Nikhil, you know, good chatting with you. Are you going to Champs?
I was thinking about it, you know, my Jamaican friends have told me Champs is a must-see, but I'm going to try to get there. If not, I'll just enjoy it at home on TV.
Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yes, hopefully.
All right, Nikhil Uttamchandani there, of course, you know, giving us his analysis on the IPL. And remember, you can catch the IPL live right here on your Home of Champions through to May 25.